the pain of progress, making the needle move forward is a challenge, right? It's one thing to go from 1 to 1,000. It's a whole nother thing to go from 0 to just 1, right? Your first client, your first payment, your first appointment, your first speaking engagement, your first interview, your first podcast. The pain of moving the needle forward is no joke. And one thing we know about humans is that we either run towards pleasure or away from pain. And what do we do when being able to get the outcome that we want of more income and more impact requires the pain of discipline, the pain of focus, the pain of telling others no and telling ourselves yes, the pain of turning inward? What do we do with the pain of progress? That is our topic for today's Business Energy Flow Forecast. Hi there, I'm Sensei Victoria Whitfield, your journey partner in life and business. It is my joy to help impact-driven leaders like you get and stay grounded and clear in mind, body, and business. This is all about increasing your energy levels so that you can increase your level of income and impact. And you can find me at strategicmeditation.com. So today in particular, as always, we are continuing our meditation, our long-term meditation on staying on track. What stops and blocks us from staying on track in achieving our goals, in our finishing our projects and our tasks in our lives and businesses, but especially for those of us who are in business? What are the many things that can prevent us from staying on track? And for this day, this week in particular, right, we want to look at the pain of progress and avoiding it, running from it. In fact, numbing the pain of progress. And how we're going to approach this obstacle, this block, is we're going to, as always, look at the history, right? Historical advice and example. We're going to look at the stats and science. And then, of course, we're going to turn to, for the final word, spirit. Now, this video is meant to be watched at the beginning of your day so that you could set your mind right? That is mindset. Set your perspective, your outlook for the beginning of the day so that the rest of the day is as productive and aligned as possible. So with that right out the gate, I just wanted to share with you why we are looking at the pain of progress. And the next, this and the next few videos in the episodes in this series are going to be all about clarity and sobriety, right? Approaching your version of staying clear, staying stoic and sober, staying focused on your target, locked in, not being clouded in any way, shape, and form. And how we're looking at that today in particular is making sure that you are not avoiding feeling, right? There is an education, a learning, an input of essential data when we feel the pain of progress. Pain is not meant just to hurt, but instead it can also teach. And what do I mean? Do I mean like broken bones and broken hearts? Not necessarily, although I've got my own fair share, and for many of you, I'm sure, so do you, as we are pursuing our purpose and our ideals, right? But I'm also talking about effort. Yeah, putting in the work, getting things done, rolling up the sleeves, right? And getting in there, as opposed to just learning and planning and strategizing, pontificating, researching, thinking, learning, thinking, learning, thinking, learning, thinking. Oh, and by the way, buying, instead of doing all those other preparatory things. No, this is about getting in the game. It is the pain of being in the ring, making real, tractionable field progress, right? Let's talk about it. And of course, as always, we are turning to our book study, our long-term book study of Think and Grow Rich. I've got all my printouts. I got everything underlined. Yeah. So this, for this series, we're going to be looking at it's my chapter 9 in Think and Grow Rich. It's the chapter on persistence. And let's look at the excerpt of the day from Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich for the pain of progress. Let's do it. Alrighty. Let me flip to, here it is. What can also contribute to us avoiding making progress? Why would we run from the pain of progress? What kind of pain comes up? If you fear criticism, let's examine some of the symptoms of fear of criticism. The majority of people permit relatives, friends, and the public at large to so influence them that they cannot live their own lives because they fear criticism. Huge numbers of people make mistakes in marriage, stand by the bargain, and go through life miserable and unhappy because they fear criticism, which may follow if they correct the mistake. Anyone who has submitted to this form of fear knows the irreparable damage it does by destroying one's ambition and the desire to achieve. Millions of people neglect to acquire belated educations, having left school because they fear criticism. Countless of numbers of men and women, both young and old, permit relatives to wreck their lives in the name of duty because they fear criticism. Duty does not require any person to submit to the destruction of his personal ambitions and the right to live his life his own way. People refuse to take chances in business because they fear the criticism that may follow if they fail. The fear of criticism in such cases is stronger than the desire for success. Oh, we're going to keep reading because this is so good. Too many people refuse to set high goals for themselves or even neglect selecting a career because they fear the criticism of relatives and friends who may say, "Don't aim so high. People will think you are crazy." Pause. Have you ever been called crazy for pursuing your passion, for starting your business, for loving what you love, for being yourself? You ever been labeled crazy? Right here. On pause. When Andrew Carnegie suggested that I, Napoleon Hill, devote 20 years to the organization of a philosophy of individual achievement, my first impulse of thought was fear of what people might say. The suggestion set up a goal for me far out of my proportion to any I had ever conceived. Watch this. Watch this. He says, as quick as a flash, my mind began to create alibis and exclusives, all of them traceable to the inherent fear of criticism. Something inside of me said, "You can't do it. The job is too big and requires too much time. What will your relatives think of you? How will you earn a living? No one has ever organized a philosophy of success. What right have you to believe that you can do it? Who are you anyway to aim so high? Remember your humble birth. What do you think? What do you know about philosophy? People will think you're crazy." And they did. Why hasn't some other person done this before now? Does any of that sound familiar? Come on, Napoleon Hill. These and many other questions flashed into my mind and demanded attention. It seemed as if the whole world had suddenly turned its attention to me with the purpose of ridiculing me into giving up all desire to carry out Mr. Carnegie's suggestion. I had a fine opportunity, then and there, to kill off ambition before it gained control of me. Later in life, after having analyzed thousands of people, I discovered that most ideas are stillborn and need the breath of life injected into them through definite plans of immediate action. The time to nurse an idea is at the time of its birth. Every minute it lives gives it a better chance of surviving. The fear of criticism is at the bottom of the destruction of most ideas that never reach the planning and action stage. Tying this in, what does this have to do with the pain of progress stopping us from staying on track? So, Napoleon Hill, broke it down so beautifully in this excerpt to two things: fear of criticism and ideas being stillborn, dying in the midst of creation simply because they didn't have the breath of life of action. You know, action, we get in our heads about it where we start to think that it's going to hurt us, right? That it's going to be hard. And also, what is everyone else going to think? Everyone's going to think I'm crazy. Everyone else is going to tell me that if I wanted to start a business, if I wanted to go out on my own, if I want to go get married, if I want to go be single, if I want to go have kids, if I want to go and not have kids, right? You're crazy if you have a point of view. The fear of criticism is a very painful fear that causes us to be paralyzed. Like, I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't, right? That kind of a paralysis, just a fear of what are people going to say? Newsflash, people are going to say stuff. Welcome to planet Earth, where people say the things, right? It's part of the course. It's the initiation, my spirit guides are saying in this moment, and they're telling me to start reading the science article. It's part of the initiation into being the strongest version of yourself is, can you handle what people have to say? Because there's this ring of fire, this initiation that we all pass through in birthing ourselves and our ideas. But if we can't pierce through that pain, those contractions of rebirth, then the idea, the vision, the opportunity will be stillborn. It will not thrive, right? Failure to thrive is actually what the nurses and doctors call it, right? So what else, though? What else do we have on the pain of progress? And this article comes from entrepreneur.com. And this is for those of you who are wondering, well, you know, it can't be that hard, especially if you own your own business. I want to start my own business because this is my ticket out. This is my ticket to freedom. This is going to be so much easier than working for somebody else. Why some traits of successful entrepreneurs could exacerbate mental health issues and substance abuse. So gather round for a tale of horror called business ownership. It's the price we pay for the creative freedom to make money on our own terms and be our own boss. it's important to know this going forward and be vigilant about it, especially for what we're talking about in this part of the series. Entrepreneurs are go-getters, people who want to build a business, disrupt an industry, or simply be their own bosses. The excitement of chasing the next big thing leads some people to become serial entrepreneurs, which researcher April J. Spivak and others are investigating as a possible behavioral addiction. In addition, a few traits of some successful entrepreneurs, such as risk-taking and obsessive-compulsive behaviors, are found to be indicative of someone potentially at risk of becoming addicted to substances, as well as behaviors, according to the experts at American Addiction Centers. By the way, if you are starting to feel confronted as I read all of this, this is just me reading to me. There's no one else. There's no one else here. This is just... this is true for me, by the way. Like, I will, in this series, get into more of how being an entrepreneur has sent me to the hospital, has also given me some of the most amazing relationships and experiences of my life, and has also driven me to some addictive behaviors. But I digress. Entrepreneurship and mental health. Dr. Hochmeyer, a clinical and consulting psychotherapist, spoke at the recent World Economic Forum about entrepreneurs and mental health. Quote, entrepreneurs are trained to ignore the qualitative needs of their well-being, measured in meaningful and authentic relationships, overall life satisfaction, and happiness. He said, the message they have internalized from the field's most celebrated entrepreneurs is the outdated prescription of no pain, no gain, and a pernicious message that success is purely measured in quantitative returns, return on investment, and profit. Pause. So when we're talking about the pain of progress, I want us to open up this conversation as not just accepting and sucking it up that it's gonna be hard, man. Yeah, we gotta go hard. No, actually, we want to bring out the awareness of, okay, so there's this old outdated expression, right, as Dr. Hochmeyer would say, of no pain, no gain. And, okay, there's also the flip side of that, where people lie and say, oh, it's easy. Nothing's gonna be hard, right? Just do it, just go. How do we balance the two? Unpause. In other words, it's not far-fetched that the basic entrepreneurial structure could potentially lead to or exacerbate mental health issues such as addiction and depression. Potential for addiction. Addiction is a complex condition that is broadly viewed as a compulsive engagement in rewarding stimuli. Someone addicted to drugs or alcohol may be seeking a certain high, relaxation, or oblivion. And if it's possible for someone to be addicted to entrepreneurship, the compulsion could ostensibly be to chase that next venture regardless of past failures, damage to relationships, or financial ruin. Yeah, run my credit card, right? In addition to addiction, the results of a study performed at the University of San Francisco by researcher Michael A. Freeman suggested that almost half of entrepreneurs experience at least one form of mental health condition during their lifetime. This research documented that when comparing startup founders to the general population, they could potentially be twice as likely to suffer from depression, 6 times more likely to suffer from ADHD, 3 times more likely to suffer from substance abuse, 10 times more likely to suffer from bipolar disorder, twice as likely to have experienced a psychiatric hospitalization, and twice as likely to have suicidal thoughts. This is not for the faint of heart, is what we're saying. Be kind to yourself. If you want to be your own boss, you need to get ready to manage all of those potentialities of like, wow, this could put me at risk for ADHD, for bipolar, for depression, for like substance abuse, like, oh my goodness. Be aware. And what do we do with that, right? Most of us just flat out avoid the pain of making progress. But what if the purpose and the calling is bigger than your pain today and this week, this month, this year? What if the purpose is bigger than your pain? And so here's where we come to the final word with Spirit. The card for the week is 8 of Water, coming as a challenger. A desire to move on, the search for something more meaningful, spiritual and emotional growth. You're feeling the need to move on. What once interested you has lost its charm, and you're seeking more meanings and rewards. You've grown spiritually and emotionally, and you yearn to leave the past behind you. These changes will bring the benefits you desire. The inward search for answers is rewarded at this time. Don't let anything distract you from your true path. If you feel a void in your life, fill it in healthy ways. A relocation or change in your job or relationship is possible at this time. Additional meanings of this card: choosing to leave a painful situation, emptiness, the search for spiritual fulfillment, dealing with feelings of burnout. And here's where the final word comes in. This day in particular, think about what you are coming out of. When you experience the pain of progress, you want to focus on what you are leaving. Now, my spirit guides are saying the card is upside down is because you're resisting looking at what you're leaving. You're resisting looking at it. That's why it's upside down as a challenger. You are challenged to look at it. Look at the pain that you are leaving behind or that you are coming through as you make progress. Focus on what you are getting away from, and that's going to help you deal with the pain of progress. Be clear on why you are moving. Not just, I gotta do, but why? Why am I doing this? And if you feel as you are making progress that you're starting to burn out, etc., watch out for that. Care for yourself. What matters most is how you feel. So if you are feeling exhausted, don't succumb to the no pain, no gain. It's okay. I have pain. What do I need to pay attention to? Let me pause powerfully and care for myself. Let me pause powerfully and be present to this pain rather than run from it. Like with a substance, right? Or imbibing or stuffing, right? Eating, emotional eating. I know that's for sure for yours truly, right? Be kind to yourself if that's what happens, so that your idea does not become stillborn in the womb, right on the cusp of its emergence, its birth into the world. Your action step for today is the following strategic meditation. Go ahead and log on to Skool App, and you're going to look for Holy Spirit Grounding into Gratitude meditation. Again, that's Holy Spirit Grounding into Gratitude meditation. It's just under 16 minutes long. And so that is how you are going to practice pausing powerfully when you're starting to feel the pain of progress, right? Ground into gratitude. Allow the Great Spirit to show you what is good, what you can be grateful for, how you are supported, to show you the love and to clear away the negativity. Allow yourself to be grounded in gratitude as you are making progress. The ground is going to help you process the pain of progress rather than hold on to it or avoid it. Does that make sense? Comment below with your insights. Make sure that you hit the share button. Who needs to hear this healing message in life and business today? I'm sending you so much love. And if you have not yet, click on one of the links in the description to join us on Skool. Mwah. Or to get your visionary hoodie. Big hugs and love. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.